So I'm up here at Moriata again, doing the climb. I've got 5 spaces in the rear shock now. Haven't done a run yet, but bouncing around on the street, backsiding driveways and stuff, it feels a little bit better. Same pressure, 180. So hopefully it gives me that little bit of extra push at the end of the travel that I can just a little bit more momentum. Basically looking for a little bit more momentum out of the back. The forks, I've gone from 75 to 80. So I'm at 80 PSI now with the fork. It feels good bouncing around. So if it's not too choppy, it's definitely going to make the bike faster. So whenever I set up a fork, I kind of want it to be as big a pillow as possible. So the least spaces as possible within reason. You get to a point where there's not a lot of support if you go too far with taking spaces out, depending on your fork. But the biggest pillow possible, so I can run it stiffer off the top, but still have it compliant. So a smaller pillow, a smaller spring, a little softer off the top, will ramp up to, you know, to the other end of the pillow sooner, and make it feel soft and then harsh, soft and harsh. So soft in the shallow, harsh in the deep. I'm going for medium all the way through. So soft-ish off the top, not soft. Efficient still, but not choppy, still compliance. I'm looking for small bump compliance still, but I'm also looking for that efficiency. So a stiffer spring, a bigger pillow with a stiffer spring, in my experience, always ends up with a faster bike. So I got that sus. The rear is a bit of a different story. You're dealing with different leverage ratios and curves and whatever, so you've got to adjust the spring according to the feeling you're getting out of the initial setup. So that shock, I've got 5 spaces in. It's ready to party. I reckon it's going to be a little quicker, a little more efficient. Still feels killer. It's easy to climb. It's not bad to climb. It climbs like a 15.8 kilo enduro bike, and it ain't a pig. I don't know why. I do know why, actually. I know why people think it's a pig, because if you were to get it and demo it, and it came with the standard configuration of 2 spaces in the rear shock, it probably would feel like a pig. Now this shock's got 250 max PSI, so if you're a lighter fella, you know, I'm only 74 kilos, and you're running 220 in there, it's too stiff. It's too stiff. So it's too much air. You're asking too much of the shock. So, you know, fill it in with spaces. That'll allow you to drop the pressure and get the spring feeling more like it should feel. So let's continue up. I'm going to do a practice run, and then I'm going to drop a GoPro run and just see how it feels. So just touching quickly on why I want to go a little stiffer. I kind of just explained it a little bit, but I trail rode last night at Mount Lofty or Waterfall Gully, and there's a steep climb. And it felt pretty good the other day, Tuesday at Moriata. Last night after work, went up, and it just didn't feel to be carrying enough speed in comparison to what my patrol does now that I got it set up right, for example. So the stiffer fork, instead of going a spacer, I've gone air pressure. I just explained that why. And I just feel like there's more free speed to be had. So, you know, if your bike's feeling like, or you're feeling like you're real slow, or, you know, you can't get close to the times that you feel like you should be doing, or anything like that, doesn't matter how fit or strong you are, if a bike isn't set up correctly to carry speed and relative to how you want to ride it as well, then it doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to have more potential to go faster with a better suspension setup. So you can see the hill I'm climbing. I'm almost to the top, so she's pretty steep. This thing doesn't have eagle. It's a 32 tooth front, a 42 at the back, GX11 speed, and I don't have the climb switch on. Climb switch is still open. It's all right. It's definitely not a sluggish pig, so let's get on with it. We'll get up there. So I just done a lap down with these stiffer settings and the extra token in the back, and it definitely feels better. so it's faster out of the corners, it's faster off of things, pumping off stuff, just carries that little bit more speed everywhere. So gonna go up, put the GoPro on, put Strava on, not gonna go ham, but put an efficient run, and we'll see what it comes up with. So the bike feels stiffer, feels faster. I wouldn't say it does feel stiffer, doesn't feel less compliant. I've had to slow the rebound down a click in the front, but it feels really good. So gonna see how we go and see if I can improve on that time from the other day, which was a 2:50. There's where I am right now, which you come sprinting down this fire road behind me into that right-hander in the background, and it's a bit of a headwind as you come back down, so that'll slow it down a little bit, but it'll be negligible. Let's see how we go. So that's it. Dropped a couple of runs, did a GoPro run. Bike definitely felt more efficient and faster with a little bit more pressure in the fork, and the shock set up the way it was. A little bit slower rebound on the fork to keep it in control. It was kind of coming into rough stuff. It was just bouncing me a little bit offline, not really badly, but I just was looking for a tiny bit more control, so buttoned off the rebound, found it perfect. And that run, I was actually quite tired. Like middle of the run, I started to feel, I did the sprint up the fire road and started to feel a bit tired, a bit stiff on the legs, so couldn't really go too hard. And I think talking and doing the GoPro at the same time gassed me out a little bit. So it doesn't usually happen, but I did a pretty big climb yesterday, big ride the day before, and I did some sprints on the interval trainer the other night as well, 2 nights ago as well. So I think maybe just my legs need to recover. Otherwise, the bike felt killer. The bike felt really, really good. Carries more speed. If you were to ride at slower speed, a setup like that is going to feel choppy. But mid to high speed, it sits on top of everything. The rear shock feels killer now. I mentioned a couple of times in the GoPro that it feels soft. I'm not saying wallowy soft. It feels, when you're landing, when you're running a stiffer setup like that, I think I spoke about it in the first initial video, my first impressions, where the ramp of the rear suspension feels supportive at the start, supportive in the middle, and then it drops off at the end. And when I'm hitting the deeper hits, that repeated deeper hit, it's in control, it's calm, it's not kicking you off the pedals, it's not doing anything silly. So it's quite a good design, I think, that suspension ratio. It's got 5 tokens in it now in that X2 shock. I'd like to go 6, to be honest, but Fox recommends 5. I've seen a video that Mojo did saying if you're a heavier guy, definitely follow the guidelines, but if you're lighter and you're well within the well and truly underneath their maximum recommended pressure, you can get away with going another 1 or 2 spaces. But I'm not going to mess around with that. I don't think that's being that that's not official from Fox, I'm not going to fuck with it. I'm not going to do things like that, so we'll leave it as is. 5 spaces feels killer. Mark, I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. Forks are wicked. You just fine tune it to suit you now, but it is so fast. It's a really good bike. I just did a 2:49 on Strava on that run. That's the GoPro run. A few mistakes. I made probably 6 or 7 seconds worth of mistakes quite easily, and just being tired and maybe not paying 100% attention because I was talking as well. Not dangerously, but just couldn't go as fast as I maybe wanted to. Felt killer, felt really good. Stay tuned for the full review. It's coming. It'll probably drop tonight. So sweet. Thank you.